Hello and welcome to Spokane County Spotlight. I'm County Commissioner Chris Jordan, representing District 1 in West Spokane. For today's program, I've invited a special guest to talk about some timely topics. He's a father, first-generation Haitian American, small business owner, nonprofit, and neighborhood leader, former Eastern Washington Outreach Representative for Governor Jay Inslee, newly appointed to the same role for Governor Bob Ferguson. Welcome to the show, Luc Jasmin III. Did I miss anything on your resume, your intro?
No, that was pretty robust.
Okay, good. Well, thanks for joining me today. Glad to have you, Luc. And good to have you on the program. I wanted to talk about your community work, your leadership in the governor's office, bringing Eastern Washington voices to our state government. But I'd first like our viewers to get to know a little bit about you and your family story. So tell me about your family's journey to calling Spokane home. Yeah,
well, I'm responsible for bringing my family over to Spokane. As many folks know, my parents originated from Haiti, and they came to the United States early on to go for school. And while they were getting their degrees, they actually had me in Boston, and that's actually where we spent majority of my childhood and into me going into college. And after college, I had a chance of going overseas to play basketball, and I was in a relationship with somebody from here, from Spokane, and that's actually how I ended up here in Spokane. And shortly thereafter, we brought my parents over to Spokane as well. Love here, been here for close to 20 years now, so excited about being here.
Yeah, it's a great place to be, and there's many words that I can think of to describe you, Luc, and one of them is busy. You do a lot in the community, you make a big difference for others, and I don't know how you pull it off. So you mentioned your dad, and as I understand it, he's a pastor. He's done a lot to show up for others through his ministry. So I was wondering if you could talk about his example and how that may have shaped your own mission to serve others.
Yeah, so, our family, we're devout Christians, and we really believe in just thinking about everyone, right? And serving others. And I've just been fortunate enough to serve folks, whether it's early learning and now in this role in Eastern Washington. And that's what I grew up with. I grew up with seeing my parents be there for folks regardless of their background, regardless of their race. And that's really what I aspire to do in this role for Governor Ferguson.
Just sharing the love, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Well, Luc, as we both know, one of the really important sectors in our community, our economy, is childcare. Quality, affordable childcare is good for kids, good for parents, good for business to be able to attract and retain those quality workers and workforce. So you've got a lot of firsthand experience in this area, from teaching, co-owning the Parkview Early Learning Center, to helping start the Washington Child Care Centers Association advocacy group. So tell us about what led you to that field, and what was it like teaching those kids day in and day out?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things in life, right? You plan things, and sometimes it happens how you plan it, sometimes it doesn't. I graduated with a degree in elementary education. I thought I was going to be a fourth grade teacher, and I was going to coach basketball. And life had a different turn of events for me, and fortunately for me, I was able to get into early learning. And when I got into early learning, I realized that at that time, we were 0.4% of the state budget. And I mean, even to this day, you're looking at numbers, only about 65% of kids are going into kindergarten ready. So we need investments in early learning. We need folks, it benefits, right, the economy, it benefits so many folks, and that's what I want to see, and I think we're making strides to get there.
0.4%?
0.4%. I think we're 2 now.
Okay, well, maybe your dad might say, where your treasure is, there your heart is,
yeah,
also,
absolutely.
Right? So I'm glad we're moving in the right direction. And as you know, Luc, the county is a part of Priority Spokane, a coalition of different organizations that come together to work on common solutions to problems here in our region. And that organization has selected childcare as a focus area, so there's going to be more attention on that going forward, I hope. What ideas and suggestions, thoughts do you have about the importance of supporting and maintaining our child care workforce?
Yeah, absolutely. I know in our region we want to hire, we want to attract a really robust workforce, and in order to do that, we need a great child care ecosystem. And Priority Spokane, they're doing just that, and it's just wonderful how many different organizations, municipalities, the county, that they're bringing together to be able to collaboratively solve this issue. And that's what we need. We need to just all be at the table, bringing in our knowledge and figuring out how we can get there together. And that's what they're doing, and I applaud it, and I hope there's more support for what they're doing.
Well, it's an amazing skill set for those people in the classrooms. As a new dad, it's hard enough for me to just keep track of my one kid, let alone to manage classroom and teach and work on skills.
Yeah.
So it's an important area we'll keep working on. But you didn't stop with childcare, of course. You also helped start after-school programs for kids with the Northeast Youth and Family Services Center beginning in 2020, which has a resource bank, a tech hall with art, technology, and media programs available for kids. So tell us about what led to the center's creation and the difference it makes for kids and families.
Yeah, actually, that came from being there every single day at the Early Learning Center and talking to families, right? When you're caring for people's children, you really get an insight on their housing issues, their food insecurities, and all the different other components that child goes through, right? So that's really what gave birth to Northeast Youth and Family Services. And now I'm just a board member, but I'm loving what they're doing. I mean, especially in regards to food security. In Northeast, we have a big food insecurity issue. To see them tackling that, making sure that they're having accessibility for families is huge. And I hope they continue to grow and continue their mission.
Well, that's wonderful work, and I think, as we would agree, those investments, those opportunities for kids and youth to have safe activities, help them be the best they can be, it pays off for a long time to come. So appreciate your work in that regard. And you've now also served 2 governors as the Eastern Washington representative, also no easy job. Tell us about what that job entails, what territory you're responsible for covering, and how you approach the basics of your role on behalf of the governor.
Yeah, and I want to say that the Spokane region, Eastern Washington, I love Eastern Washington so much, and I actually had left the Inslee administration, and there was so much outpouring from folks in this community saying, "Hey, we need you to bring Luc back," and they
Bring
actually
back
did.
Luc campaign.
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
and so I got several calls from Ferguson's office to come and serve in my former role, and I'm a liaison. I'm a liaison for the county, for community. Reach out to me, and I'm here to make sure that we're bringing as many resources for Eastern Washington.
So Spokane County, what other cities and areas do you
I cover the 8 eastern counties in Eastern Washington, so all the way up to the Canadian border, so Pend Oreille, Ferry, all the way down to Stoughton, Columbia. And yeah, it's been fun.
So as you're conveying those needs to the governor and to state government, how do you kind of balance the needs of a larger community like Spokane to a place like Stoughton County?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are some things that are unique to Eastern Washington, right? That Stoughton and Spokane share, but yeah, absolutely, there are some differences too. And for me, I just take it a day at a time, and I'm gonna go to bat for Spokane as hard as I'm gonna go to bat for Columbia or Stoughton, and I'm really talking to policy every single day. I'm talking to the governor on a regular basis as well. So it is really fruitful to be able to just really hear what community needs, and I'm being that squeaky wheel.
Right. spending some time on the road, I'd imagine, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Well, Luke, one of the first ways that we interacted after I got elected as county commissioner was during the 2023 Gray and Oregon Road fires. Many people will remember the devastating impact in Elk and Medical Lake areas. And as commissioners, we declared a state of emergency very quickly. And then we were quickly in touch with you on a regular basis, briefing us on what was going on with the state's efforts. Governor Inslee was very engaged, visiting the county and working hard to find resources that could help with our response and with neighbors in need. So there's lots going on to rebuild. Long road there, but what was it like to be the governor's eyes and ears in Eastern Washington during such a crisis?
Well, I think that Ferguson's going to do the same, but Inslee was all the way in Asia, and he heard about this and got on the first flight back here to Spokane to be with folks, and that's what this role is about. Right, is making sure that we're elevating issues, and we're lucky to have leaders like Governor Ferguson, Governor Inslee, then be able to respond and not just come and talk to folks, but also back it up with the resources, right? And we were able to do things from debris removal to, whatever is needed to help folks, and that's what we're here for.
And as you interacted with a lot of different people at that time, did anything strike you just about how the community responded?
Yeah, I think, I think a lot of times folks don't know how accessible we really are, and that we're here to work for them. And you could find, Google my name. You can reach out to me. Like we work for you, and if you have issues, I will magnify that. I'll make sure that it is heard, and we're gonna do whatever we can. And I know you're the same way, right? You're gonna do whatever you can for your constituents, and that's what we're here for. So I think that's what I was surprised about, is folks not knowing how accessible we really are.
When you answer the phone, they're like, oh, there is someone on the other end there.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciated your efforts to kind of keep our neighbors here in the county at the forefront of state government. Long way to go in recovery, of course, but there's been some good work to unlock federal disaster assistance with the help of your office, Senators Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell, former Congresswoman McMorris Rogers. So I think we've been fortunate to have you in that role, so thanks for your help with that very much. And so you've now worked for a new boss, who is my old boss, Governor Bob Ferguson. I worked with Bob, as we called him, in the office for 7 years in the State Attorney General's office. And many people in the Spokane area may not know that our governor spent some of the early days of his legal career here in Spokane at the Court of Appeals, and I'm told used to eat dinner at the Elk in Spokane pretty much every night, in his words. So he knows a thing or two about Spokane County, and I'm wondering, how have you found it to work for our new governor this time around? Yeah,
well, I'm fortunate. Many folks didn't know Inslee had his footprint in Eastern Washington as well, and Ferguson the same, and I've been struck with how much he loves Spokane. He really does. He's going to be here in a few weeks, and he's always asking about Spokane, what can he do for Spokane, and he's very level-headed, and he wants to hear how he can help, right? I mean, he's coming into a really tough budget cycle, and there's some tough decisions that need to be made, but what I think for me, what I'm looking for from a boss is integrity, honesty, and he's a pillar for those attributes, and it's great working for Ferguson so far.
Yeah, I found the same thing to be true. So let's talk about the work that the governor is doing in Olympia. No shortage of big issues. You mentioned a big one, governor inheriting a roughly $14 billion expected state budget deficit. That's a big challenge to look for ways to balance that budget. Can you speak to how the governor is seeking to strike the right balance with difficult choices on the budget?
Yeah, so Governor Ferguson, he's talking to everyone. He's not leaving groups out. He's making sure that he's taking time, especially with policy, us as outreach, really listening to the pulse of the state. And, tough decisions obviously need to be made. We have our legislators that are working hard right now to figure out, okay, how can we balance things? So, I think at the end of the day, we're going to do our best, and we got to stick together as Washingtonians.
Yeah, it's a tough thing, and I'm sure they'll be working hard on it in Olympia. I did see on February 27th, the governor announced $4 billion of proposed savings recommended to the legislature. And the governor recommended protecting all investments to address homelessness and housing assistance in the current biennium. For the county, that's a big deal. We receive funds that we invest, and we're talking a lot about how to do that in the best possible way, especially to try to focus on preventing folks who might be at risk from falling into homelessness. So can you just talk about why that issue of housing and homelessness is so important for the state and for the governor?
Yeah, so it's no secret we have a massive housing shortage in our state, and we need to make sure that we're still putting investments there to increase our housing. Homelessness continues to be a top issue in the minds of a lot of constituents, so we're trying to figure out ways to make sure that we're really moving people into stability. And another priority that the governor has is around public safety and making sure that there's funds allocated to that along with K through 12. Those are the big buckets that we're looking at right now to support, and that's based off of what we're hearing from constituents all across the state.
Right. Well, we at the county appreciate the efforts on funding for law enforcement. Our sheriff's office is making some efforts to fill those vacancies for deputy positions, but still have work to do. So any help is appreciated there. And I think I heard that we're one of the lowest states in the country for law enforcement officers per capita. So we got some work to do, and I appreciate the governor's help with that. Another challenge, of course, these days is the possibility of federal cuts, and that's probably also weighing on the state. Many of us are concerned about discussions in Washington, D.C. around possible cuts to the Medicaid program, which many people in Eastern Washington rely on, and the county does as well, to provide behavioral health services. So I know the governor's office is tracking these discussions and will keep us posted, so look forward to hearing from you on that. And also wanted to just check in on behavioral health. I know that is an issue that the governor has been very active on from his time as Attorney General, working to obtain opioid settlement dollars, holding opioid manufacturers accountable. At the county, we are investing those dollars in expanding treatment, making resources available and housing for infants and families who've had drug exposure early on, and now expanding our crisis stabilization center with a 23-hour crisis addition to that, which Representative Hill is working with us on in the legislature. So we look forward to partnering with the state however we can, but can you speak to the governor's focus on the opioid pandemic and behavioral health?
Yeah, I think if you want a governor that really knows what they're doing and can really tackle issues such as our opioid issue that we're having in our state, there's none better than Governor Ferguson. So we're really lucky to have Governor Ferguson. We're really lucky to have our new Attorney General as well. And they're fighting every single day to make sure that they're making sure that those federal dollars are coming to support folks in our state. And then Governor Ferguson's doing a great job of figuring out how to work with legislature to make sure that Spokane County can continue doing the great work that Spokane County is doing. And I'm so proud to be based out of Spokane County because you county commissioners are doing a fantastic job serving the folks there, and really a staple for the rest of the state. So we're going to keep on working, right? It's not going to be easy, but we have the right people in place.
Well, thanks for that, and I appreciate that, and it's something we're always trying to figure out, how do we work with the cities too, right? We want to see the county working with the city of Spokane, the Valley, and there's good work being done there too with co-deployed teams, partnering law enforcement with behavioral health experts in the field, just as one example, but that's also a work in progress, right? We all want to work together for the benefit of our citizens. So what are some of the any other proactive priorities that Governor Ferguson is focused on that might have an impact here in Eastern Washington?
You know, I think we just really need to make sure that we're protecting current investments, and that's what we're doing. Obviously, you talked about behavioral health. We talked about K through 12. We talked about public safety and housing. I mean, those are the things that we're really looking at, making sure that investments are there. But again, look, we have a $14 billion deficit, right? So, you know, all the agencies, they did share what, you know, they feel like their cuts should be. So,
right.
So we're really working, and you know, my main message is let's stick together. Okay, it's not going to be easy, right? But I think together we can make the right decisions.
When you're in your role around the Eastern Washington, do you hear about the housing price concern from just constituents that you talk to? I know I do, you know, and as a young family, I just think about other young families, right, trying to get into that housing market, trying to, you know, have an affordable place to rent so they can save up money for a down payment. So what are you hearing from constituents on that particular topic?
No, absolutely. That we're hearing a lot of, so workforce housing comes
right.
up quite a bit in conversations with constituents, and we're working. We're trying to figure out what the best ways to be able to help our housing supply. And one of the big things we're looking at is, are there some unnecessary rules and regulations that we can really alleviate, right? So that we can really build up our housing supply. And there's other incentives that we're really looking at to be able to do that. But absolutely, we need to make sure that housing is affordable for folks. And again, that's what we're working on. We have some constraints, right, with just our state budget
funding,
situation, but we'll get there.
Well, I saw that Governor Ferguson had a transition team, and Lieutenant Governor Denny Heck, who's been very passionate on the issue of housing, was leading that group and giving some recommendations. So it'll be interesting with the flurry of legislative activity in Olympia to see kind of what ideas rise to the top to really make a difference for our citizens. So we'll stay tuned. I wanted to talk to you about another topic, Luke, and I know there's been recent news coverage about concern in the Haitian community throughout Spokane County about the federal administration's action to rescind the temporary protected status that had allowed so many Haitians to be here legally, fleeing some really concerning circumstances back at home. So I just wanted to give you a chance to speak to that and just the many wonderful contributions of that community to our area.
Yeah, so as a first-generation Haitian American, this really hits home for me in a very literal sense. And you know, there's organizations like Creole Resources that are doing a lot to help local Haitians understand what their rights are and what you know, what levers they can pull. But I think overall, as a community, we need to look at what Haitians have been able to do for our local Spokane community. They've come, they've worked hard, they haven't caused issues, right? And they've really boosted our local economy. And to me, I think that's doing the right thing, and we need to do right by them by standing by them and helping support, helping push for reconsideration, because they're enriching all of our lives here in Spokane with, you know, their hard work and their dedication to making our local economy and just quality of living better.
Lots of hardworking people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, thanks for your comments on that. Just last question real quick, what is the number one most rewarding thing about your job?
I get to talk to so many different people, and you know, I am partial to Eastern Washington. I think we're the best, and I really get to see the best every single day. I get to visit organizations. I get to sit with commissioners like you, and we talk about, real issues,
Right.
and everyone is working hard to figure out how to make life better for Eastern Washington, and I'm just so thankful I get to take part in that,
Yeah.
and to making the quality of life of Eastern Washingtonians better.
Well, thanks for being our liaison
Yeah.
and our voice to the governor and bringing Eastern Washington voices to state government in Olympia. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Well, Luc, we could keep talking for a long time, but unfortunately we are out of time. It's been a pleasure hearing your story, about your incredible community service work, and now your work with Governor Ferguson's office on so many important issues for our region. So thanks for being our voice. Thanks for all you do and for being my guest today.
I appreciate it.
I'm County Commissioner Chris Jordan. Thanks to you at home for joining us today on Spokane County Spotlight.